this was the first episode where we allowed you guys to get a peek behind the scenes about how we actually act and what we do when that music is playing. So we're probably going to keep it that way. So I hope you enjoyed it. I was drumming. It's a good beat, and like I was really on point with it. Brad usually dances a little bit more than that, but I think he hasn't had enough coffee this morning, so it's I don't know.
It's
I don't
because
really
my
I don't know.
headphone cord is stuck. Hold on. There we go. Okay,
Yeah,
problem solved. It's one of those days, man. It's one of those days.
that'll happen. Well, this is gonna be a very fun episode, and I asked Brad, I think it was last week, like if he wanted to do this, and I was just like, hey, why don't we just do a couple episodes where I'm gonna get to know you. The following week, we can flip the script, but like I'm just gonna ask you a bunch of random questions.
Oh
Some of
God.
them are gonna be serious, some of them might be stupid. We'll see. I promised that none of them would be inappropriate. So,
I was gonna
but
say, you promise none of them are gonna be appropriate.
well, we'll do that like as a hidden episode. But these
We'll
should be
be
good
the
questions. Basically, I just want you guys like the whole idea behind this was okay. You guys listen to us, hopefully regularly, whether that's every week or whatever. But like, why should you trust us? Who are these people that are giving you this advice, right? Like, what's like Brad? What are his credentials, right? Like, why is he a trustworthy source of information in this industry? So there's going to be some of that, and then it's try to make it a little bit more personal to like who is the person that is Brad Dieter. So that's what we're going to do. And like I said, I've got a bunch of questions outlined here. So Brad has not seen these questions ahead of time, so we'll just kind of have to see how he does. But the first kind of area that I wanted to start with, Brad, is basically your background and kind of like I want people to. I know the answer to some of these questions, but I would like others to know as well. So this is more about your background, what shaped you, and kind of how you got to where you are today. So first question I have is, tell us where you grew up and how you think that where you grew up shaped who you are.
I think I'll start by just letting everybody know I am not Brad Morgan. There's two Brads in the Facebook group. I am Brad Dieter. The other one is Brad Morgan. So there's been some confusion this week. Somebody was like, wait, I thought you guys were the same person. No, we're
Oh my God. Yeah, no, these are definitely two different people.
not. I mean, so I grew up in Spokane, Washington. Grew up in like a little bit more of the like suburb rural area. Grew up playing basketball. A pretty normal childhood. I mean, I don't really know how much that really shaped me, but I think it's just coming from a community that was like pretty like down to earth, good work ethic, kind of the just the culture of where we came from. Spokane's a really interesting place in that it's a fairly decent sized city, but it's got a small town kind of feel. There's actually a lot of like very successful, like for lack of a better word, like wealthy people that live in Spokane, but there's just no culture around it. So like you just never see like big flashy things in Spokane. So kind of grew up around that, which I think was really good for just me. So played basketball growing up and then went to college. I actually spent my first semester at the University of Arizona. And then within about
I didn't know that. That's one thing I did not know.
Of being there, decided like I needed to transfer at the end of the semester just because it was not very different from where I like the environment I grew up. It's basically as opposite as you can imagine. So ended up transferring to WSU and did my last 3 years of undergrad there. I finished a semester early. Originally I had plans to go to medical school. Just stuff happened in life and kind of where I was at and realized like clinical medicine was not really for me. So spent almost a year, moved to Seattle, worked in the orthopedic industry for Smith and Nephew doing like orthopedic, total joint trauma, stuff like that. Came back to Spokane, applied to grad school, and then spent about 6 months or so to a year. Can't remember the exact timeline. Must have been like, yeah, it was about a year. And got my CSCS, started training, got an internship at GU, helped kind of run some of their summer program stuff as an intern, kind of helping guys in the weight room in the summer, and trained with them. Went back to grad school, did my master's in biomechanics, and then ended up doing my doctoral work at the same place, University of Idaho. It was kind of a split program between University of Idaho and Washington State, and focused primarily on like exercise physiology, but more of the like molecular biology side. Um, and then did my postdoc. So my PhD work was primarily in metabolism and diabetes. So we were in the cardiovascular work. So we basically looked at when you exercise, your heart gets bigger in a beneficial way. So your heart becomes more efficient. The stroke volume increases, your heart rate drops. It's more efficient. Your heart basically gets healthier. When you have diabetes, you due to generally the additional comorbidities of being overweight and the changes in metabolism that occur from being insulin resistant, your heart adapts and gets bigger in a negative way. And so we were looking at how does exercise versus pressure overload and insulin resistance / high blood glucose direct the heart down one pathway versus the other. And so we were looking at like how does that occur at like a genetic regulation level. So we were doing exercise studies and pressure overload studies in animals, and using human tissue to kind of figure out the like genetic switches. That's what I did my PhD work in. And then I did my postdoc in a lab where we looked at, my joke was I just went south in the body for my PhD work. So I did a 3-year postdoc in a lab. We looked at kidney disease, so people with diabetes and kidney disease. And I focused primarily on glucose and amino acid metabolism in people with diabetes and kidney disease. And we looked at a couple things, the inflammatory processes, and then the epigenetic regulation of glucose inflammation in people with kidney disease. So we published a bunch of papers on that. We started to do a lot of work in the GLP-1s. And then I was there as a faculty scientist for a year, taught at the medical school for a while. And so that was kind of like my formal academic background. And then business side, I started my own kind of private practice / like panel of clients in 2010 when I got my CSCS and started training people, and then moved everything online when I started grad school because I just couldn't be in the gym all the time. It had to be remote. Started a website, started a podcast, and it's kind of grow into multiple iterations of that. So that's a very long story. That's a very long journey compressed into a few minutes.
Well, do you ever miss that type of work that you were doing before?
I miss having a really big problem and just getting to go into the lab and just work by myself all day, every day, and just get stuff done.
Just figure that out. Yeah.
Yeah. But I like what I'm doing now more.
Good. What did you originally want to be when you grew up?
I originally wanted to be a surgeon.
Okay.
And then I realized
that
is a terrible lifestyle for all the reasons.
They're always working, right? Like they don't get, like you basically just live at the hospital.
Yeah, and then my first job out of college, when I wasn't sure if I wanted to go back to med school or what, I worked, part of my job was as a trauma rep. So I would get called at 11 o'clock at night and have to drive to the hospital, and I'd be there till 4 a.m. and then I'd have to be at work the next day. And I was
that's not fun.
This is fine when I'm 22 or 23, but if I were like 35 and had kids, like that's just not going to work.
Yeah, that's rough. I mean, it's tough to, that's why a lot of surgeons and doctors, I have a friend who I grew up with, and he's like, I never see my dad because he was just never there. And so I get where you're coming from 100%. What is the biggest challenge you faced in your career so far, would you say?
I think I'm trying to think about the best way to phrase this. It's doing what you know is right, even when it's really hard. There's been so many instances in my career where I could have taken shortcuts, could have made a lot more money, Um, and just like doing the right thing, even when it really sucks, has been the hardest part. And the reason it's hard is because you see most people don't do that. Like, I was at dinner with a friend the other day, and we were talking about kind of the health, fitness, wellness industry or whatever. And pretty much, with very few exceptions, I know pretty much all of the industry leaders. And like, I know where all the bodies are buried because I've just seen so much. Like, I've seen, I've had people work for me and leave. I've seen, people who take your entire like contact list from your business. I've seen all of it. And so I think the hard part is just like always doing what you know to be right, even if it comes with consequences that you could have avoided. So I
Sure.
think that's the hard, and the hardest part is like you just have to continue to do that for your whole career. So I think that's been the most difficult thing.
So was there ever a moment when you wanted to quit? And I'm not even, not necessarily about this job, but like any job you've ever had that you're just like, I just don't want to freaking do this anymore.
Um, besides the answer of every day,
Well,
no.
no right or wrong answers here, Brad.
Um, I think there's never been a day where I'm like I'm gonna quit, but I think one of the really hard parts about this profession and this job is, and this will just be totally blunt with our client base, there can be days where it's really hard to care for somebody else's results more than they care for themselves. And then to see like the behavior of the consumer base in aggregate for a decade plus of like they continue to make the same type of decisions that are so antithetical to what they say they want. And so you just continue to see that for years at a time. It's like, hey, here's the solution. I'm going to give it to you. I know exactly what it is. I know what you need to do. But then every year you just see like, oh,
Same thing.
20 million people are going to go flock to this new diet book that came out. 20 million people are going to go buy this new thing that's supposed to change their life. 20 million people are going to go, but it's like, I think that's
We've
one of
been
the
down
things that
that
you
road.
struggle with the most as a professional is like, what the answer is and you know what it's actually going to take for people to do it. But they continue to try to take the quicker path. It's sort of like the analogy that's always really good for this is like the get rich quick scheme, right? Like the people who you always see like, oh, I'm going to this real estate course to learn how to like become wealthy in real estate in a year by 0% down financing of stuff. Oh, now I'm going to go to this crypto trading course. Now I'm going to go to this foreign exchange currency trading course. Now it's like, and then in 15 years, like they're kind of in the same spot, right? Versus the people that like I've started my career with are like, hey, this is what I'm doing. It's the longer road, and like it's not really going to be sexy. It's like we're now in our late 30s, and like
Yeah,
there's some people I know. It's like, hey, if they don't ever want to work again, they don't have to, like, because they
for
did it
sure.
the right way.
For
And
sure.
so you kind of see that, and on our side of the professional industry, of like, and then you just see that every year. And I think that's one of the hardest parts that sometimes you're like, man, how do I continue to stay focused and doing what I'm doing when I know that a lot of the audience doesn't resonate.
Be discouraging. Yeah. Nope, I get that. What is a what's a typical day in the life of the Macros Inc. COO look like?
Um, usually it is get up somewhere between 3:30 and 4:30. It depends on. Sometimes it's 2. I don't know. It depends on if I slept or not. I mean, my days are. I usually get up. I make a pot of coffee, and I sit down and I just start working. And it's usually like I'll go through all the company data and see what needs to be like looked at, adjusted, tweaked. I'll spend a couple hours working on the big projects that I need to do, whether it's like reviewing all our email campaigns, our ads, our coaching stuff, working on our continuing ed. So like from like 3:30 to 4:30 till my first meetings are usually at 7 or 8. Like the first 4 hours of the day are just like work, and then it's usually department meetings with like department heads until usually around like 11 my time. And then it's like try to go into the email inbox, answer all the questions, clean up everything, And then I usually try somewhere around like 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock because now I've been at my desk for like 9 hours. I
Go
usually
for a
try
walk
to
or
take the
something.
dogs for a walk or go to the
Yeah.
gym, etc., and then come back. And then usually from like 3 to 5, it's like finish up all the other stuff that just like didn't get done for the day. And then it's well, now that we have a kiddo, it's
Then let's go play with little man.
then it's uh, play with little man, maybe take him for a walk, depending on the weather, dinner, bath time, story time, bottle time, bed, repeat.
I'm looking forward to meeting the little dude. I really am. He's what, 6 months now? He's got to be 6 months,
Like
right?
5.5 months. Yeah.
Okay. Damn, dude, time flies.
Yeah.
What's the hardest part of your role, you would say?
Um, uh, I'd say it's two things. One is every day is just filled with so much like you're handed the problems that nobody else can solve and you don't know what to do either, so you have to go find the solution yourself. So I think it's just like every day you wake up knowing like I'm gonna just get the hardest stuff thrown on my desk and I got to try to figure it out. And then I think it's just managing people, right? It's sort of like when you work with clients, you see like you're trying to manage your clients' behaviors, right? And give them the guidance to go do what they need to do to get the results they want. And when you work with clients, you realize like life is messy, things happen, right? So we've got, 100-ish people who work here. There's always something happening. And so you've got to
True.
manage, you've got to manage those things. And then the hard part, like a little bit of one of the difference of the clients versus the business is you can do everything in your power to motivate a client, get them in the right mindset, give them all the tools. And if they don't lose the weight or, a little bit of that, like just to be totally blunt, it's like it's their life, it's on them. They get to reap the results. The hard part is when, you're kind of the leadership of a business. If you can't get those people to have the outcomes, it affects everybody in the organization. Right. So there's a lot more
Yeah.
on the line if you can't get your people to perform at the level you need them to. And so I think that's the other part of that. That's just hard.
Do you feel like there's a lot of weight on your shoulders?
Um, yes and no. I mean, yes, because there objectively is, but no, because I asked for this, right? Like when you
Yeah,
start your
that's true.
career and you start to decide to like build and run your own businesses, like you just have to remember this is what you like asked for, or if you're religious, like this is what you prayed for. And so now you've gotten what you've
That's
asked
what you
for.
signed up
So you
for. Yeah,
can't
for sure.
like and then I just always like try to keep the perspective of like, well, there's people out there who have 100,000 employees, so like, I could probably handle this, you know?
Imagine, I mean, that's an entirely different world. How would you say that your background in science and academia shapes how you interact with people here, like the employees here,
Yeah.
or does it?
I mean, I think it's the the background and the training I think gave me things that people don't expect. Like, yes, I have a pretty extensive knowledge base, like domain expertise, but that's not really what I think was the most valuable. Is one is, and this isn't true for every part of academia, but the like pipeline that I went through and the people that I worked with, I got used to like huge amounts of very aggressive feedback. So just being able to like take a lot of negative feedback all the time and just be like, meh, okay. Like that's just part of the process. I think it was really good. And just like learning the emotional stability of like take what's
So like you,
good, leave what's bad, don't take it personal. I think that was really good. The other
that,
one is
yeah,
um just the work ethic that's required was really important. And my path and journey was a little unique. Like I finished a 3-year master's program in 11 months, and I finished like what's normally a
damn,
4-year, a 4.5 year doctoral program in 25 months. So like I got through it quick, and it was mostly just because I basically compressed all that volume into a short period of time. So I just learned like
right?
what work volume actually looks like. So that was really good. And then The other piece is there's probably two more things. One, what doing really good work looks like. And so the level between good to great is huge. And like you just have to be willing to put in an ex an exponential more amount of work at that tail end to get better. Like going from 0 to 95% is maybe 20% of the work. Going from
Is
95
easy,
to
right?
100 or 99 is 80% more work. It's sort of like you could write a 500-page book, and that's probably 20% of the work. Then the editing, the polishing, the all the final stuff is the hardest part. And then, oh man, what was the last thing I was going to say? Oh, and then the last thing is you can do the work and still not win. Like that was a huge part of it. Like part of academics was you could write a really great paper and submit it and it would get rejected. You could write a really great grant, spent a whole year, and you could still not get funded. And so it just like learning that, okay, sometimes you do the work and you still don't win. And that's part of the process was also another huge thing to learn. So you
Just
just don't get like so emotionally devastated. Like you launch a new marketing campaign and it doesn't work.
you're
It's like,
just
oh,
like next on to
okay.
the next thing. Gotcha.
That's kind of the default. So it's like when you
Right.
win, you're like, oh, that's great.
So you kind of just you've learned to you essentially don't take things personally, and it's just basically like this is just how it is. This is just life. It's the default, like you said, and it doesn't. And you
And
just move forward. You think
you
it's
just
kind of
have to keep
conditioned you
going.
for yeah. Um. So if you could change, if you could instantly solve one problem for Macros Inc., what would it be?
I think that answer is going to change every day. Um, that's a good question.
We can come back to it. We can if you don't know, if you need some time to think about it, we can revisit that. But I thought it was kind of interesting.
I think if we never had a client leave, that would solve everything. If
So
every client was just in a lifetime contract, that'd be amazing. The Hotel California,
yeah,
you can check out, but you can
but you
never
can.
leave.
Um. All right, I got some hot takes and hypotheticals for you.
Okay.
So these will hopefully shine a little bit of light on your personality, your logic, your your sense of humor, your quirks, things like that. But would you rather be deaf or blind?
I'd rather be deaf.
I would. It's that was tough for me because I love music so much, but like, I need to see where I'm going, and I want to be able to see my kids. I wanted to be able to see people. So I'm with you on that.
I
Is that
used
like
to
what's your
have
logic? Same. Yeah, go ahead.
I used to have nightmares that I would be playing a basketball game and I would just go blind in the middle of it.
Damn.
Yeah.
Huh.
I mean,
So
I
that's
think
like a
the reason for visual for me is a couple fold. One, I process almost everything visually. So when I read a book, like I see the words as a visual. When I have a conversation with somebody, all the words are turned visual.
sure.
So like
Mhm.
most of my processing is visual, and so if I couldn't like
Yeah.
read anymore, that would be a big problem for me. And then I couldn't really write. Like how am I mean, I
True.
guess you could write, but it'd be a lot
Or have
harder.
someone write for you, I suppose. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you could listen to audiobooks, but that's still not quite the same. And you can't see like figures and stuff like that. And then I couldn't look at my wife anymore. That'd be really sad.
Yeah.
I think that's probably the biggest reason.
So which would you rather fight? 100 duck-sized horses or one horse-sized duck?
Um, I'd rather fight a bunch of little horses.
Okay. So on the piggyback of that, do you remember that whole thing that blew up
Man
on
versus
social media? Like,
gorilla.
yes. Do you think, let's say, do you think 100 men could defeat 10 silverback gorillas?
What type of men are we talking about? Because there's
Let's just say your average. Yeah, you're just your average man. Like, right? You just pull
10 of them.
100.
No,
I don't think so either. Because I
no.
I think actually I think I don't even know. I'd be surprised if 1,000 men could beat 10 silverback gorillas. Not
I think a
because the,
thousand. There's just so many, but I think at a
but I
10
think
to
you're gonna,
1 ratio, no.
but you're gonna have people who are afraid to like even strike the gorilla, and then once you see the gorilla going wild, you're gonna have dudes who are just not gonna fight at all, and now the gorillas start like I just don't see how 1,000 dudes are gonna do it. But maybe I'm wrong. It's probably one of those things we'll never find out. Okay, aliens land on Earth, and they offer to take you to their planet. Do you go?
100%.
What if? Well, what if? So no stipulations. You don't even need to hear the stipulations. You're just going. Like, what if it
Yeah,
meant?
I'm
What if it
going.
meant you could? What if it meant you could never come back?
I'm going.
I'm gonna tell your wife you said that. Sorry, sorry,
She's
Marissa.
she would probably respond with, "Yeah, they're finally taking him home." That's probably going to be your answer.
Um, do you if there is alien life out there, what do you think they actually look like? Do you think
I
they're humanoid?
No, I think it's very basic single cell
Ah,
organisms
okay.
would be my guess.
You don't think there's okay,
No, I mean
okay.
I think
That's
it's
interesting.
here's here's my reason. One, I don't think life is a rare event. I think we have we have threaded the needle of like our planet has avoided complete destruction
For
very
sure.
narrowly a bunch of
Yeah,
times. And so
that's
like
true. Yeah,
complex life takes a long time to evolve.
and it
And
takes
like
chance.
you just have it's sort of like winning the lottery, right? Um so I think I think that the instance of life is probably rare but not that rare. I think there's very few planets that survive billions of years without like getting hit by something.
I think that's what I was going to say too. Is the chance of ever like encountering intelligent life is rare because of the distance of space, but also just like more than that, it's like the time, like the time.
Random chance.
Yeah, it's just it's. I just don't think it's ever going to happen. If someone were to make a documentary about your life, what would it be titled?
Boring. No, I'm
Wow.
just kidding. What would the documentary of my life be titled? Hmm.
Maybe this would be a better question to ask Jay. Like, hey Jay, what would Brad's documentary be titled? I bet he'd have a good
I would hope it would be titled Reliable.
one. Aw, that's really sweet. That's a good answer, man. Hey, if it
Yeah.
can't be reliable, what would it be?
Mm-hmm. WTF.
Okay, that's a good answer too. I mean,
Uh,
that'd probably be mine to be honest with you. What conspiracy theory might you secretly believe?
I'll tell you everything that I secretly believe. I mean, it's not secret. Well, I don't want to say believe, but that I like put a very high probability of being true. Um, I think there was very much some level of advanced civilization way before modern man. Like I don't know what it
Define
looked like.
advanced. Right. Okay.
Like
So that's what
they had meaningful technology. Um, like
like
I think
electronics. We're not talking. You're not talking electronics, right?
I don't know. I mean, it could look totally different, right? Maybe it wasn't electronics, maybe it was something else. But like I think there was a fairly advanced civilization 10
Huh.
plus thousand years ago. Um, what else? What other conspiracy theories? I'm fairly convinced that like so this part of the world where we live in, the narrative of like what carved out the Missoula Valley in Montana and the Columbia River was like there was a huge lake up in Canada and there was an ice dam and the ice dam broke or melted and this huge
Oh,
flood
and
came
the
through. I'm
mhm.
convinced that that's not true, but what really happened is there was a series of comets, like fragments of comets that hit the like glacier ice sheets up in Canada and it like flash melted it all. I'm pretty sure that's true.
Any others?
I also think that the Titanic was either A, an insurance fraud scheme, or B, it was its sister ship, not the actual Titanic itself.
Wow. I've heard the insurance one. I've not heard the other one though.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
I also
This is
am becoming more and more convinced that Nixon was ousted because of the CIA.
that could be. I could see how that'd be possible. Yeah, the wheels are spinning in my head. Do you think
Now,
that
I may change my mind in 2 weeks from now when I've read another book, so who knows?
do you think the Tunguska event was aliens or
No, I think that was just a piece of comet
a
or
fragment? Okay.
meteorite that just went kaboom in the atmosphere.
What is something most people don't know about you?
What is something that most people don't know about me? Mm. That's a good question. I don't know.
Well, that's not an acceptable answer. I'm sorry. You got to come up with
I
something.
mean, like, I feel like who, and people have said this to me, who I am online is who I am in person. Like, I'd say
I mean, I
probably
would agree with that.
I have a much
Yeah.
I have a much better sense of humor than people probably think I have.
Am I? You've met me several times. Am I the same online as I am in person? Do you think?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Okay. Because I mean, uh, yeah, I would agree that you don't change when I meet you in person. Like you're not. I think it is fair to say who you are online is the same as in person.
I mean, I'm probably more like when there's a large group of people, I'm much more reserved. Like I don't do a lot of
Yeah,
talking in person. I do a lot more
sure.
sitting and listening.
Okay. Yeah, that's probably fair. Um, what's one thing you wish you had more time for?
A lot of things. But I
Name
have
like
a really
name two things.
I wish I had more time to like learn and put in practice more skills. Like I'm just an innately curious person, so like
Yeah,
I
me
want to
too.
go build a car engine from scratch by myself. I want to go build a rocket engine in my garage. Like
That'd be awesome.
there's just so many things that interest me about life that I just don't have time to do. I think next year my wife and I are going to start a pretty big garden in our backyard.
Well, you gotta have a fence so those little doggos don't mess it all up, right? I feel like Oakley might have a day in there. Or no, Winston. Isn't Winston the troublemaker?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Um well, where'd my questions go? What is do you have I hate this term, guilty pleasure, but whatever. What's your biggest guilty pleasure? Do you have one?
I will almost never turn down ice cream. But
That I
like
did know
good
about you.
ice cream. If
Yeah,
you have me like
a pint of
a
store bought.
like a fudge sickle out of the freezer, I'm not taking
A
that.
fudge sickle. Gross. My kids love those things,
But
and they're
like
just
going to like a artisan ice cream shop with a waffle cone,
yeah,
I'm never turning that down.
that's fair. Um, are there any good ice cream stores in Sandpoint?
Oh yeah.
Oh, nice. Okay,
You've never heard this story?
I don't think so. You better. Well, now you
So
better tell it.
the first year we had our cabin and we spent quite a bit of time up there that summer because it was still kind of like COVID, so like most stuff was still kind of shut down, and so we spent a lot of time up there because the state of Washington is very like left leaning, and so like everything was locked down until like late 2022, and Idaho was very much just like very right leaning, like they never shut down anything, right? So we spent a lot of time up there in late 2021 and 2022. And so I was doing my like end of year financials like for personal stuff. And every year I go through and like do an analysis of our spending. So I like pull up our credit card spending and like look at like what we spent the most money at. The second most frequently charged thing, like not in total dollar amount, but like
Frequency.
yeah, was the ice cream shop in Sandpoint. We went
I love
like
it.
30 times that year.
When you totaled it all up, because I know you did you freak out? You're like, holy we've
No,
spent
it
this much
was
on
like
it.
it was like $300 for the year. Like, I
Oh,
mean,
okay.
my wife and I usually go and split a waffle cone and a scoop.
Gotcha.
So yeah.
Okay. All right, that's fair. Here's a good one for you. If you were arrested with no explanation, what would your friends assume you did?
Probably told the cop he was wrong.
I don't know what I would. I would be like. I
Uh,
guess I don't know what. I
Probably
don't even.
jail.
I would have no idea. To be honest with you, I'd be like, what the hell
Dude,
happened?
I got in trouble. Well, trouble in I think it was 6th grade. We had our teacher. So when I was a kid, I was obsessed with like just like nonfiction books. So I was always reading like random animal fact books, and it was in like science class, and we were learning about like aquatic life. And my teacher was like, "Oh, here's the Portuguese man of war. It's a type of jellyfish." And I was like, "It's not a type of jellyfish." She's like,
Oh
"What are you
God,
talking
here we
about?"
go.
I was like, "It's not. It's technically considered a polyp. It's a collection of other creatures that were put together. So it's not a jellyfish." And she was like, "No, it's a jellyfish." And I was like, "No, it's not a jellyfish." And so I was like arguing with my teacher, and she like got super mad. And then the next day, I like brought in a book and showed her in front of the whole class.
Oh my God, what did she do? What did she do after that? Did she
Uh,
concede?
she had to.
That's
But
really funny.
that's what I would be arrested for. The cop would like tell me something. I'd be like, actually, you're wrong.
Do you have any? Do you have an irrational fear that makes zero sense, but that you stand by?
I mean, I don't know if it makes no sense, but like, I do not like heights,
Ah,
and I
okay.
do not like enclosed spaces.
Okay.
Like, we were watching a show the other day, and there was like a character who was like trying to crawl out of a cave, and she was stuck, and I had to fast
Oh,
forward.
that'd be,
I couldn't
dude, that'd
watch
be
it.
terrible. Yeah, that'd be
My
terrible.
mother-in-law made me watch the movie when they like rescued all those kids in Malaysia in the cave,
Oh, that,
or
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Taiwan or wherever it was. That was the most uncomfortable I've been in my entire life, having to watch that. I was like, no.
There's one I
Although
can't remember.
100%, if I was stuck somewhere and they had to rescue me, they would have to put me under, like they did for those kids, like sedate them, because I would
Sure,
lose my mind. I
freak
would
them out.
not be calm at all.
I highly suggest that you never watch the movie Buried with Ryan Reynolds.
I did
It's
watch it. It was terrible.
Isn't
Also,
that
the
awful?
ending of that movie was
There's, I can't imagine a worse. There are fewer. I don't know if there are any worse ways to die than like closed space being suffocated. Like that would freaking suck.
yeah, no, I'm
Um,
out.
if if animals could talk, which one do you think would be the rudest?
Cats, obviously.
That is the correct answer, for sure. There's because you just never know what you're gonna get with those little things.
Don't you
Um,
think it's weird that cats were so revered in Egyptian
yes,
culture?
I actually yes, I've had chats with AI about that actually. Like, why did they love them so much? But yeah, I do think it's weird. Yeah. Um, if you could swap lives with one fictional character for a week, who would it be and why?
Is this like does it have to be a realistic fiction or can it be like any fiction?
Just any fiction.
Mm. If I could swap places with any character from fiction. Man, that's a really good question.
I know.
And
I instantly knew who I would answer, but I'm curious to see what you're going to say.
who's your answer?
Superman, because I want to be able to fly and like go into
Oh,
outer space
see,
and see the
this is
sun. Okay.
interesting. I I don't have an exact answer because I'll tell you my perspective. So it's interesting that you went to somebody who could do things. Mine went to who has the most epic story of like who went through the most and became the person that they
Awesome.
wanted to be.
Okay.
Um man, I'm trying to think. That's such a good question. There's a few characters from some books that I've read that I would love to have experienced their journey because it was so like it's life in the most extreme sense. Um, man, there's just so many things that come to my mind. What book did I just read? Oh, okay. I've got a couple answers for you, and they're all a little different. Um, Ender from Ender's Game,
Never even
but
I didn't read it.
but the full series up until like I think the third book. Um, he would be an interesting person to have swapped places with. Um, this is gonna sound really crazy. Johnny Goodboy Tyler from Battlefield Earth.
Okay.
I don't know if you've ever read the book. Don't
I
watch
mean,
the movie.
I
The movie's
was gonna say
terrible.
the movie I didn't like, but I didn't read the books. But yeah,
Basically, his character in the book, he basically like saves the entire human race, and the entire universe, basically. But just like who he has to become and all the things he has to learn was really cool. Um, and then there's a book series. It hasn't finished yet, but the series is called The King Killer Chronicles. The main character from that would be really interesting to be.
yeah. No, these are definitely totally different answers, which is kind of funny. It's but that reminds me. I think maybe I don't know. Like I remember like a year ago, you told me that I should read the Battlefield Earth, um, and just hey, don't completely avoid the movie. Too late for that. But I do remember
And
you saying that that was a great.
ignore the fact that it was written by the guy who created the Church of Scientology. Just
Yeah,
ignore all
that's
that. The story is really interesting.
if you're gonna love this one, at least I do. I think it's hilarious because this is like so you. If you could only communicate in movie quotes for one full day, which which movie are you choosing?
Oh. Dumb and Dumber for sure.
That's so great. That's like one of the movies I can quote like from start to finish.
Good day,
It's
mate. Put another shrimp on the bobby.
Austria. Well then. And there's like little things that when I was a kid and watched that movie I didn't really pick up on, but then as an adult you're like that is subtly hilarious. Like that's one of those things. Um Senior citizens, although slow and dangerous behind the wheel, can still serve a purpose. Like is that supposed to be a
The
compliment?
fact that she robbed him was the best part of the whole
Yeah.
scene.
God, that's a good movie. Well, I got maybe one or two more, and then I just got some rapid fire questions for you, and then I'm out. But similar to the fight earlier, would you rather have to fight off one angry goose every morning, or never be able to use the internet again
I'd rather fight off the
for
angry
the
goose.
for the rest of your life? Because at some point when you're like 85, 90 years old, like that goose is going to get the best of you. You're not going to be able to fight it off forever.
No, that's not true.
Okay.
I live in a constitutional carry state.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, yeah. I suppose I should have
just
put
get a wrist rocket, just slingshot him.
I should have, yeah, I should have specified that it can only be with your bare hands, but whatever. All right, moving on.
We refer to the geese up here as if they're flying, it's the Canadian Royal Air Force, and if they're on the water, it's the Canadian Royal Navy.
That's hilarious. You know what my uncle calls them? Sky carp. Because
That's also valid.
he's like carp tastes like crap, and so do geese. He's like so they're sky carp.
I've never eaten a geese.
I've not either. If someone gave you $1 million to spend as you wish, what would you spend $1 million on? You can't invest it, so you just like you have to like spend it on something.
Oh, I can't
buy
invest
something.
it.
Nope, can't invest it. You got to spend it on something.
I would go buy like 100 or 200 acres.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's what I would.
What would you do with it? Just own the land and just let it appreciate?
Yeah,
just
eventually I'd build a house on it, but yeah.
Smart of it. Is that what like if you were to buy land in Washington versus Idaho, let's say, is like one way more expensive than the other right now?
It depends. Like I could go buy 100 acres in the middle of Washington for pretty cheap, but like
What's pretty cheap?
a couple $100,000.
Okay.
Probably 2,000 to 5,000 an acre out there, and like within 20 minutes of Spokane, it's closer to like 20,000 an acre.
Oh,
At
okay.
100 acres plus, it probably gets down to like 10 to 15 an acre. Um, there's places in like North Idaho where it's super expensive, and then there's places in Southern Idaho where it's super cheap. It just depends.
What's funny to me is I told you you couldn't invest it, yet you're buying land, which is still technically like investing in something. Like that's you're
I am
I like
I am just
I
not
like
a consumer.
no, I know, but that's why I asked that question. Okay, how about this? If you couldn't even buy land, like you just have to like buy something or an experience, what would that be?
Um, I mean, probably some travel.
Yeah.
Thing is,
Okay.
like, I can't think of any one thing I would spend that much money on.
Yeah.
Like,
I'd mostly do travel as well.
yeah, probably would just take the kiddo and the wife. I think at some point,
Yeah.
maybe not next year when he's a little bit older, we're gonna like rent an RV and tour all the West
That would be
Coast.
cool.
Like, we'll go
Yeah.
see the rainforest in Washington. We'll go to the ocean shores. We'll go to
Yeah.
the redwood forest. We'll probably go down to the Grand Canyon. We'll kind of do like we'll take a couple weeks and just bop around.
I want to do that too. I've been wanting to do that with my kids. My wife, she's like, I am not renting a motorhome to be stuck in that with four screaming kids the entire ride. I'm like, why? They'll have a great time in there.
Send her to Europe with her girlfriends, and you can take them.
Yeah, there you go. That's a good idea. Okay, you ready for the rapid fire? And then I'm basically out of questions. But I know the answer to this. Maybe the viewers don't. Coffee or tea?
Coffee,
Mountains or beach?
mountains,
Dogs or cats?
dogs,
Star Wars or Star Trek?
wars.
You had to think about that one. Least favorite food?
Mm. I don't like Jello.
That's a good choice. It's like what? Yeah,
And I
I
could probably
mean,
pick some gross food, but I just don't eat it in general. So
deadlift or squat?
now
I'm
or when
going.
I was 20, so those are very different answers.
Yeah, we'll go now. I mean, for me, it's deadlift, but let's say now.
I'd still rather squat probably.
Would you?
Yeah.
Interesting. Um, first job ever.
Mowing lawns.
Okay. Were you ever a paper boy?
No.
Okay. I don't know why I thought for some reason you had a paper route or something. Hidden talent.
Um, I can stick my shoulder blades out really far,
I think you've shown me that actually. It might have been
and I can
Chicago.
turn my thumb upside down.
Yeah, that's messed up, man. Is that from all the basketball?
No, I mean
Just
maybe. I don't know.
broken thumbs. Weirdest thing in your fridge right now.
Weirdest thing in my fridge right now. Uh,
It's
the
okay if you
fact
don't have one.
the fact that there's nothing in my fridge right now. Probably breast milk. That's probably the weirdest thing in my fridge right now.
Yeah, that makes sense. God, we had like my wife had a whole freezer full of it, so I've been there. Um, Best advice you've ever received.
Mm, can I share more than one?
Hell yeah, we got time.
Uh, suck it up, quit whining.
Who said it?
My girlfriend in college's dad.
Huh? What was that after? What was the incident?
Well, it wasn't directed towards me. It was directed towards her brother. But I was like, that's actually really good advice. Um, he was whining about the fact that he had power washed the driveway for his dad, and then his dad had gotten it dirty, and he asked him to do it again.
Shut up and quit. Well, all right.
Suck it up, quit whining. That's a great one. Another one is, you're not good enough.
Who said that?
My mom.
Wow. Was this an
Um,
after? What do you want to? Can you elaborate on the incident where that was said?
yeah, basically, I had played freshman basketball, and I wasn't invited to the summer league team. And I went home crying to my mom I was like, this isn't fair. Like, and
Sounds
she's like,
familiar.
well, if they didn't invite you, you're just not good enough.
Huh. I think
And
you
I
might
was
have told
like,
me this.
oh, is that a thing? You know, like at that point in my life, I just but never thought that was a thing. And she's like, well, you're just gonna have to work harder. And I was like, oh, okay.
Did that answer
Um,
make you cry more, or was it like your light bulb moment?
well, there was obviously some more tears initially because that's what happens when you're a teenage boy. Um, invest in yourself first, or pay yourself first. Both like literally, if you get a paycheck, put part of it aside for future,
Sure.
or like invest in your skills before you buy anything.
Who was it that told you that?
Randomly, a assistant coach who was at Gonzaga when I was doing my internship there, and I was like 22. He just came into the office
Hmm.
one day, and he was like, "I was like, hey, I'm Brad. I'm an intern here." And he goes, "I got some random advice for you, son. Pay yourself first." I was like, "What are you talking about? That doesn't make any sense." And he told me, and I was like, "Oh, okay."
Interesting.
Um, what else? Hmm. Maybe not advice, but like a skill is developing emotional stability. The amount of pain I have saved myself in my life by just giving myself a lot of space between what I feel and what I do and say has saved me an immeasurable amount of pain and suffering and like money probably.
Yeah.
Um yeah, that's probably it.
Good. Those are good. Um, hey, if anybody else has random questions, I'm pretty much out. So for those of you that are watching, feel free to toss in a random question for Brad. Michelle said that she also said Jello. So we had a viewer that was like, "Yeah, I would not a Jello fan."
I mean, here's a question for you. Obviously, I guess it's a two-part question. One, you were a coach at Macros Inc. like for maybe a couple months before I came on board. And then I didn't really work with you for a while until a few years later. Was working with me what you expected it to be like? And if not, what was different?
I honestly don't know that I had any expectations. I thought, here's what I will say. When COVID hit, you remember things where it looked like everything was going to hell in a handbasket. And then we kind of started to get busier and busier. And for a while I was like, "Oh, this is just how it's going to be." So working with you was kind of like all is hunky dory, right? And we're like, "Yeah, we're people are spending their money or they're getting coaches, like it was all good." And then I would say over the last couple of years, post COVID, things kind of returned to reality, and we've really had to like dig a lot deeper. So in that sense, I guess so I guess that actually changes my answer. That no, it wasn't. It wasn't ultimately what I expected, because I think the thing that I've told you this before behind closed doors, just like I think I've texted you this, is like one of the things about working with you is um, there really isn't anybody that works harder. That like there's no hard worker in the room, and so that makes me think, well, if Brad's doing this, then I can't I can't not work hard too. So I would say that I work, you know, it's just like I feel like I work harder than even harder than I used to, because the work is required. The work is it's required. More is required. So I would say that, yeah, I guess in that sense it wasn't what I expected. I think you and I, but I also think that's because you and I were just in different circumstances back then, and it just things evolve, and here we are. So in that regard, I guess it wasn't what I expected. No.
How would you describe me? You can be honest too. I'll take any feedback you
Well, in what regard?
have. Any regard.
I would describe you as someone very logical, analytical, um, never takes things personally, or at least doesn't seem to. If you do, I sure as hell can't tell. Um, hardworking, and I think sometimes we we as in the company, like when you're in like the top position, when you're the leader, you kind of look at that person as like, oh, they know all the answers. Um, but I think if we don't know the answer, or if or we come to you for an answer and you're not sure either, it's kind of, I guess I don't know how what I'm trying to say here. Like it seems to me like you're one of the most knowledgeable people that I know, and so there it's funny because there are times where like if I ask you a question and I don't quite get the answer that I was expecting, I'm like, well, maybe Brad's trying to like hide the real answer from me or something, right? Like is he trying to like give me like a riddle so I can figure it out myself? So part of me sometimes is like I can't really I can't figure you out sometimes. So I don't know if that makes sense, but like I think that's also just maybe your own teaching style, right? You've said before, like, well, I'm not always going to give you guys the answer, but like I want you to kind of go out and find it yourself. So I think, yeah, I mean, aside from the qualities that I mentioned, I think you just maybe what I'm trying to say is like I know that you also care a lot about everything that we do. So um it's just it's all of those things really.
Yeah. Have you ever listened to any interviews that a guy named Eric Weinstein has given?
I don't think so. No.
If you ever get a chance, go listen to. He's been on Joe Rogan a few times. He's been on the Diary of a CEO, which
Well, who is he?
so he's a physicist turned hedge fund manager. He's worked with like Peter Thiel.
Okay.
Um, he basically took physics and math and like ported it into the economic world and like came up with economic theories. But now he's like kind of going back into like hardcore physics. But it took me a long time to just understand like my communication style, and go listen to some of his interviews and you'll notice a pattern of like conversation that's very different. And so like you just kind of mentioned this. A lot of times you and I will be having a conversation and then we'll kind of take a little bit of a 90-degree, right? Would you say that's fairly normal?
Hmm.
Because I think sometimes people get into a conversation and they're asking questions they think they should ask, or taking a conversation in a direction they think it should go, but that's not the direction it
Sure.
actually needs to go.
Yep, I got you.
Right? I
Yeah,
think like sometimes we get so stuck in the like local minimum of where we're at that you just kind of have to like pull out, look at what we're actually trying to have a conversation about and be like, okay, let's redirect this.
because sometimes you end up trying to answer questions that you're trying to like get an answer to a question you think you're supposed to like arrive at when so it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? And your point is if you could take a completely different angle, now you go in a direction where you're not there's no bias there. You're not like trying to get to the answer that you wanted to answer.
Yeah, it's sort of like, have you ever been playing a video game and you get so far into a level and you've like run out of lives or keys or arrows or whatever it is, and like you just realize you can't finish the level, so you have to like just reset and
Hmm.
start over and take a different
For sure.
approach?
For sure.
Like that's sometimes I think a lot of how we have to try to solve problems and have conversations, you know?
I would agree with that, and it sucks because that's like the last thing that you actually want to do. but
Yeah.
but it is, I mean, to your point, it is necessary, and you're like, shit, all that work that I did, now I got to redo it. And so,
Well, I
I mean,
think
but that's
it's, yeah, I mean, I think the other perspective on that though is, are you really redoing it, or did you learn something during that process and now you've taken what you've learned and redone it?
or not even necessarily did you learn something during that process. It's what did I miss? Like what didn't I learn that I could now learn by going back through it a second time?
Yeah.
Um, That's all I like I said, it's all the questions I got, man. Did you enjoy the episode? Were these questions appropriate enough for you?
I'm trying to think if there's anything that you should have asked me.
I
Yes,
mean,
my
I could.
my my last name really is Dieter. That's the one question I was surprised you didn't ask. Is that a
Oh
pen
yeah, I
name
guess.
or a pseudonym?
Yeah, I mean, in our industry, it kind of makes sense. As like, is his last name real? I'm sure most people read it as like Dieter too, because like,
Yeah.
I mean, Dieter's what? That's 100% German, right? It's got to be German.
Yeah, I should. I always think I should go do my 23andMe and see what my ancestry really is, but I don't really want to open that box.
What does that
Like,
mean? What?
so like
What are you? What are you afraid you're gonna find?
here's an interesting like kind of moral question and dilemma. I have heard multiple instances where like somebody gets their 23andMe done and they found that like based on genetics, like their grandpa clearly had an affair on their grandma,
Oh shit. Yeah.
right?
Okay.
And then they bring it to the family and it like tears the family apart, like whatever. Like
Oh
I've
god.
heard these stories. My question is, why is that your right to bring that up? Because you decided to do a genealogy. It's sort of like if you find that information, maybe you just need to sit on it. Like it it's such a weird thing that we have access to this information that technically at some point isn't ours to have.
True.
And then you're
That's
stuck with
fair.
the burden of what do you do with it,
Like, yeah. Right.
right?
Yeah. No, that would suck.
Like so part of me is like I don't want to do that because I don't want the burden of any potential knowledge that is,
Yeah, for sure.
right? Now if it's like a crime, that's different. But like because you inadvertently access somebody's personal information and it's not your story to share, do you get to share it?
Yeah. Well, I think more than that, it's like you said, I just wouldn't want the burden of that knowledge and like have to like, no, screw that. I don't want to. I don't want to
Yeah.
know. Like, just keep me ignorant.
Yeah. It's sort of
Um.
like you know, there's a lot of genetic tests you can get now that'll tell you your risk for like Alzheimer's, things like that. I still haven't gotten those tests. Like I don't know if I want to know.
Well, it's that question. How about this? Here's one more for you.
If you
Would
know
you
when you're
rather
gonna
know?
die.
Yeah. Would you rather know when you're gonna die or how you're gonna die, or like neither? Right. Like ideally, I mean, I don't want to know either one. But like, if let's say you had to, you either get to know how or when. What would you choose?
When?
Really? Because I'd want to know how. I don't want to live my life knowing that my time is up on X day. Screw that.
Yeah, I think if I knew when, it would change my priorities.
Well, for sure it would.
Which
But
is
then
weird. Like, well, then why don't I just change them now?
that's the conundrum, right? Like, yeah, yeah. It's just it's be a wacky thing to live with.
It's and it's such a like a. I don't know if this is just like such a default setting in our brain that we can't comprehend, but there's always the question slash thought experiment of, um, if I gave you $10 million today, cash, but you don't wake up tomorrow, would you take it? Your answer is going to be no.
Well, oh no, I mean I would
You would,
because if you're asking me cash, like physical cash.
but you don't like today's your last day on earth. You die tomorrow if you take it,
Oh, I'm sorry. If you take it. Oh, okay. Well, no, 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 no. I
right?
misunderstood your question.
So that means that every day of your life is worth at least $10 million to you. But you're probably going to live today like just another day, and you may not do any big things with it, right? Like
Yeah.
that's such a weird conundrum.
Like, why don't we behave differently anyway? Then.
Yeah. So
Well,
every day of your life is worth $10 million to you or more. But you just are going to be like, oh, I'm just going to BS my way through the day. Like that's what most of our lives are, which is just really weird to think about.
I read something on. I don't remember which social media platform it was the other day, but like it said basically in 10 years from now, you're going to be wishing that like that just for a moment you could go back 10 years and do what you're doing now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so just be thankful for it. And it was just an eye opener because I think we always take these moments for granted. And then you look back 10 years like, man, I wish I would have I wish I would have appreciated that more back then, and like I wish I would have acted differently. And then it's like, so why am I not acting differently then? Why don't I slow down and enjoy the moment more? I mean, like your son, right? He's gonna be 6 months soon. Like, don't you ever like? Has there ever been a moment where you've stopped and thought, holy shit, my son's 5 months old already? Like, he seems like he was just born yesterday. How the hell did we get here already? Right? And then it makes you kind of like slow down, take a moment, and just like enjoy the time with him, right? Like, do you ever think like that? See, to answer your question earlier when you asked me what I think about you. I think it's a good example. Not that you don't stop. I think there are times where you stop and smell the roses, but I think, and maybe you might have admitted this, maybe this is where this is coming from, is I think sometimes, you're very focused on progress and progress and like the next thing and like forward momentum, that sometimes maybe that comes at a detriment of, hey, I gotta, maybe I do need to stop and smell the roses sometimes, right? And like appreciate. But that's not, again, I don't like. I'm not implying that you don't appreciate what you have, because I know you definitely do. But I think we all, like, I know I've been guilty of like, let me just stop and appreciate what I've got for a moment, and a little more of that, right? Like, does that ever
Yeah,
cross your mind?
there was a quote from Chris Williamson, and I can't remember the exact quote, but it was basically like every time you achieve something, you just feel relief because you should have done it. Right? Like you don't take joy in the win. You more just feel relief because, oh, I should have been able to do that anyway.
Well, and that's sort of not appreciating what you did, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right? And so that's something that I struggle with all the time. Like and it was so one of the really sobering parts about the last probably 10, 15 years of just my life has been you realize the wins never really matter.
Yeah,
Like
that's
so Scotty Scheffler, the golfer, was interviewed the other day, and they were asking him about like golf and winning and something. He was like, one of the things I've realized is like you work your whole life, you win the Masters, and you celebrate for 2 minutes, and then it's just back to the next thing. And so you have to realize that the winning really it's not it.
so then what's the motivation for doing it?
It's who you become during the process.
Well, you have to
And
value that
so
sort of thing.
and so for me, it's what I've really had to try to savor and enjoy is who you become during the process. And it's sort of like I always go back to like the video game analogy. When you start your character and they have no weapons, no skills, no anything, and you go and you do all these little quests to get the next item or to
You build
level
them
up,
up, and
you
yeah.
level up the next stat, and then you get to the end of the game and the game is over and you've won the game. Like that's it. And the only thing that really mattered is who you became along the way. And so then if you get to restart the video game as the person with all of those things, it's not fun to play anymore. Right? Like go back to level 1 with the 100% strength, speed, weapons, and you just like breeze through it and you're like, well, that was dumb. Right?
Not even fun.
And so it's like, it is the process itself. And I think the hard part is until you get to the end of the road where you've like had the win that you had, you it doesn't make sense. Or I think it was Alex Hormozy who had the quote of like, you've told yourself that you'd be happy once you've achieved something you've already achieved. So why aren't you happy?
Yeah. So what's the answer to that? Because
The
you're
answer is
hungry. Like,
because it's never conditional on the outcome, right? Like, why are lottery winners not happier than non lottery winners? Why is the average happiness of the person who like breaks their back the same 6 years later as it was before? It's like it works in both directions. It's like there's this state of who you become that is what ultimately is the prize.
so is this, like, are you summarizing that basically this is your excuse me, this is your way of how you do stop and smell the roses. Like you've learned to appreciate things over time more than you used to.
I think it's just shifting what you index on, right? It's like a a problem in the business showed up today. Did I handle that better than I would have handled it 10 years ago? If the answer is yes, that's the win.
Yeah.
It's the did we sign up the most amount of clients we've ever signed up today? Okay, well tomorrow I have to go back and do the work again to
Do
get
this
more anyway.
exactly.
So
Right.
it's like, is my capacity better
Greater than yeah. Mhm.
than it was? And that's more of the index.
Do you feel like you can say that day after day, week after week?
Mm, I I think it's hard to reflect on it every day. I think it's like you
Longer time
think,
increments.
yeah, you think back like, oh, 10 years ago, who was I? 5 years ago, who was I?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it's been a good episode, man. You got anything else that you wanted to add?
No, I need some food though.
I feel like I mean, I hope people enjoyed this one. I enjoyed asking the questions. These are kind of I like these types of conversations where you kind of get to know somebody and just kind of see insights into who they are and what they believe. And um, so, yeah, I don't know. Anybody else got any viewers got any questions they want to ask? Now's the time. Otherwise, I think, we're probably gonna have to duck out of here. I go to Spokane tomorrow. I'll be visiting Brad, so maybe I'll take a picture. Maybe we'll do like a group photo or something and show you in the group. And hey, here's Brad. We'll do a selfie, and you guys can fire away questions in the group on that post or something. I don't know. I'll do something fun, but it'll be good.
Word.
Are
Birdie
you
dird.
are you picking me up in the on the motorcycle still? Then
If I had a motorcycle, my wife would kill me. She
so you're
worked
not picking me up on the motorcycle.
she worked night shift in the ER for 4 years and night shift in
Oh yeah, she's
the neuro ICU for 4 years. So motorcycles are not allowed in our house.
she's seen some stuff.
And now that I have a kiddo, definitely no motorcycles. Although the craziest, like one of the craziest stories my wife has from when she worked in the ICU, she had a guy who came in, motorcycle accident, but he was going like 80 on the highway, and it was either an elk or a giant deer jumped out, but it jumped in between him and his handlebars.
Oh no.
So he just took the body of the deer full in the chest, and it like exploded his internal organs.
Oh my god.
He didn't like hit the deer with his bike. He just boom right in his chest.
Damn.
Isn't that crazy?
Damn. This means he didn't live, I assume.
I don't think he made it.
Man, that would just yeah,
Yeah.
that's wild. My wife's parents were paramedics for a while, and kind of the same thing. That's why her dad doesn't own a motorcycle anymore because he's like, I've picked up like arms and stuff off the ground before. Like I just don't want to. Like I've seen
Nope.
some bad things. He's like, I'm not gonna. I don't want to risk that. I think once you've had that experience, you're like, nope. So all right, peeps. Well, that's all we got for this episode. I think this was our longest episode we've done. So I appreciate it. We'll do this outro music, and then you guys can see us beat bop one more time, and then we'll be back. We'll be back next week. So
You should do the
right.
R2D2 outro music. Boop boop doop boop.
I don't have that one. I'll try to get that one next week. Right now, all I got.
We'll
is
probably
this
get
one.
copyright flags, so maybe don't.
Yeah,
do
exactly. Exactly. All right, adios, people.
Cool.
We're out of here.